What up, everyone? It's your boy Soju from the Straight Chillin' Podcast, back with another video game review, this time for the Resident Evil 3 remake. Now, this game just came out a couple weeks ago and is the game that I played on our Twitch channel in April. And to start things off, I would recommend that you play through this game. I had a lot of fun playing through it, and if you enjoy playing through the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out just last year, I think you'll enjoy this game a lot. They have a very similar look and play style, but before I get too far into it, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
So starting off with the positives, this game does have some great scares and really brings some genuine tension. On top of the normal zombie hordes you have to deal with, the addition of the Nemesis enemy really felt like I was fighting for my life a lot of the time. I also really enjoyed the setting in this game. Starting off in the streets of the city where it felt a lot more open than previous games, made me feel more comfortable about exploring the game in general and to take more risks to find items. The setting does change as well and gives some more closed off spaces that feel a little more claustrophobic, and I thought the overall balance between the open and closed areas worked really well. I also had a big smile on my face when I was able to go back to some previous settings from the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out just last year. I love playing through that game, and just being able to go back into the police station with a new character and new weapons really felt like it connected and continued an overall story between the different games. The pacing in this game felt well thought out as well. From the very beginning of the game, it feels like you were thrown right into the action where there isn't a huge tutorial phase, which I liked, but I also didn't feel too overwhelmed with learning the new aspects either, and I feel like that has a lot to do with how the overall difficulty level feels a little bit lower than in previous games. I actually like this aspect though, as I felt like I was just genuinely able to enjoy the game more because of it. This game is very similar to the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out just last year, but I think they were able to address some of the criticisms that I had for that game. And the main one that comes to mind is cutting out a lot of the silly kinds of puzzles. So there are still puzzles in this game, but this time they seem to make more sense in the context of the world, and also there's just genuinely less of them, which for me personally I thought really benefited the overall gameplay experience and is something I hope they keep in mind, especially when considering making more remakes in the future. The characters were fine in this, not too deep but also not too shallow or annoying either. I did enjoy switching between the two different characters, and I just genuinely enjoyed the weapon choices that were given to me between those two characters. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the negatives. This game is short, and in a way it kind of feels like a Resident Evil Lite, almost like a really beefy DLC sometimes. Now they did try to pad that out a little bit with this new multiplayer mode called Resident Evil Resistance. And that mode can be fun, and I am glad that they did add it to the game, but I still don't think this was quite enough, especially when we saw that just last year Resident Evil 2 came out, and it was a lot beefier and came with a few DLC playthroughs as well. Also, because it's so short, there are times where I felt the kind of skimpiness, especially for the fans of the franchise, and things like there were only maybe 2 or 3 instances where you have to deal with the dogs, and then also I think there was only 1 or maybe 2 times where you saw a licker, and those things felt more like they were just thrown in just to have them in the game, but didn't always add to it, and they never really came back to anything in any kind of significant way. But those are honestly kind of nitpicky negatives because I did enjoy the gameplay a lot, and while I was playing the game, those things didn't detract from my enjoyment, and it was only after I finished the game that they started to feel more like negatives. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into the final score.
Overall, I gotta give this game a 4.5 out of 5. Now, this is the same score that I gave the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out just last year, and while I did enjoy playing this one a little bit more, it was a little too short to be perfect. If you've played through this game, let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to get some weekly horror content from the Straight Chillin' Podcast, and until next time, everyone, please don't forget to keep chillin'.